It's a new month, and that means it is once again time to take a look at new products that have come out in the last month and give away one of those products. More about the giveaway at the end of the video. Let's get into it. And the first product I want to look at this month is the BetaFPV Whoop Racing Starter Kit. This is a complete all-in-one starter kit with everything a total beginner might need to get a taste of FPV. So it's got a controller, it's got a quadcopter, it's got batteries, it's got a charger, it's got goggles, literally everything that a beginner would need. And I'm always on the lookout for products like this because for people who maybe don't know if they want to get into FPV, they don't know if they're going to enjoy it, they don't know if maybe it's just going to be too hard and frustrating and they're going to give up. I know that sounds crazy to those of us who love FPV, but it does happen. The ability to have everything you need right out of the box, set up, ready to go, no beta flight, no nonsense, just plug the battery in, flick the switch, try to fly, crash, suck, maybe use the simulator. Yes, this does work with the simulator. The ability to get all of that for a price of under, let's say, $200 is a pretty big freaking deal. Now, usually I recommend the Emax Tiny Hawk RTF kit, and I still recommend it. Emax has an amazing track record. Let's face it, guys. You buy some of these tiny whoops, sometimes they're great, sometimes they crap out the first time you crash or the second time and you kind of have a bad experience. I've always recommended Emax because they are right in the right spot in terms of price, reliability, and performance. Now here comes BetaFPV, and they're coming in at $129. Compare that to the Emax at closer to $160. Now there is also the Advanced kit, which has the Meteor 75 and a little bit, I think it's just the Meteor that gets updated from the 65 to the 75. I think everything else is the same. Pretty sure. And that takes you to $200. How is it $80 more for the Meteor 75? Well, I'm not really sure what I'm missing here. The price difference between a Beta 75 and a Beta 65 is not $80. So I don't know why the advanced one is $80 more. But this is just the quick look roundup. This is not a deep, in-depth review. So I'm sure you'll let me know in the comments what I'm missing. Well, speaking of getting beginners into the hobby, some people want to buy a kit and just take it out of the box and fly it. But some people want to build their own quads. And that brings us to the Xilo 5-inch Freestyle Beginner Drone Bundle JB Edition. And I don't think there's any question that building and repairing is an essential part of the hobby. If you get into the hobby on a bind and fly, you will eventually have to repair it because you're going to crash it and break it. And so everybody has to build because there's no better way to learn to repair than to build your own quad. I have done build kits in the past and really struggled with keeping all the parts in line, and that's why this one is being done exclusively by Xilo. Actually, the camera is a Rattel. Caddx Turbo Micro F2. Okay, so the camera is not. Every other part on it is a Xilo part, so that GetFPV can be in charge of sourcing those, and hopefully it can be in stock more than some of the other kits I've done. This one has a full build tutorial, takes you through every step as usual with my beginner series. And yeah, I got a full review, and not just a review, a full tutorial of it, and I'll put the link down in the video description. Well, if you fly tiny whoops, you know one of the biggest challenges is managing the health of your batteries. Most of the time, you fully charge your tiny whoop batteries, you go fly them, you discharge them down to probably close to 3.0 volts, most of us. And then when you're done, they're either left fully charged or they're left empty. But storage charging tiny whoop batteries is really difficult to do. Like, no tiny whoop chargers support storage charging. You can get a parallel charging adapter, but that has a lot of perils that can also threaten the health of your batteries. Here comes the answer. This is the flying... No, it's parallel? Are you for f***ing real? It's not parallel. It's not parallel, it's series. This is the Flying Sandal 1S parallel charging board, but it is not a parallel charging board. Race Day Quads change. I know you're calling it a parallel charging board because people don't maybe know what a series charging board is, but that's actually what it is. It puts the batteries in series and basically makes a 4-cell 300 milliamp hour battery out of them. And that means you can use them with your normal charger. But the really exciting thing about this is that you can plug the batteries in when they are at different voltages and they don't damage themselves or light on fire like can happen with parallel charging. As long as the batteries all have the same milliamp hours or pretty close to the same milliamp hours, you can just plug them into the board, then you plug it into your charger and you do a 4-cell balance charge or storage charge program, and it all just sort of does each battery's voltage individually. That's the advantage of a series adapter. And this is something people have made for themselves. I've seen like MuteFPV had a video where he made one, showed you how to make one. But if you're not in the, don't want to do all that soldering and you want something a little more professional looking and a little more polished, this is a pretty cool product. Speaking of batteries, there is a new battery manufacturer on the block, and this is not just another random no-name Chinese manufacturer slapping a label on a rebadged battery and trying to sell it to you for a quick buck. AULine was founded in partnership with Jerry, who used to work at GNB. Now, some of you are going, oh, that's exciting. GNB is well known for making very, very high quality packs. And Jerry used to work at GNB. Now he's left GNB and he wants to start his own battery line. And these guys, their goal is to cut through the BS and deliver packs that honestly and accurately and verifiably actually deliver what's on the rating. In fact, they reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to test basically their whole line of batteries. More on that maybe later in the future. Now, I haven't tested any of these batteries, but based on their pedigree, it feels like they probably are going to deliver, and I'm really excited to get the chance to test them. They're available at AULine's website, and if you prefer to shop at Race Day Quads, they're available at Race Day Quads as well. Well, now let's go from batteries to chargers. And one of the biggest questions that people are always asking themselves is, what is the cheapest charger I can buy that is actually worth having? I think we probably have a new contender here. The ISDT Q6 Nano comes in at $30. And if this was anybody except ISDT making it, I would be really, really suspicious of the quality. ISDT does not have a perfect track record of quality. Some people with the ISDT Q6 get abnormal connection errors, but overall, their track record is very, very good. $30 for 200 watts. Well, you're not going to be parallel charging like 15 batteries at once, but 200 watts is pretty good. And for 30 bucks, I think it's hard to beat. You could buy 2 of these for the price of one of most other quote unquote budget chargers. What in the ever-living heck is going on with this motor? I have no idea. Obviously, T-Motor makes good motors, so we can't complain about that. But the design of this motor bell absolutely confuses me. It's like somebody took the idea behind the Carrera Toa motor, which has sort of turbine blades to blow air through the motor and cool the motor, and then just was like, nah, we're going to do the opposite of that. It's covered, and it's supposed to keep dirt out of the bearing, but I have never ruined a bearing by getting dirt in it. The bearings are sealed, so I don't understand the point of this motor, to be honest. It looks weird. Maybe some people are going to love it, but it looks weird. I've heard some argument that it's going to be more durable, but like if the top was solid, then I would think it would be more durable, right? But basically you've got spokes. It's never the spokes that bend on a motor. It's right here at the edge of the bell where you get a ding and the bell gets knocked out around, or down here on the bottom. It can happen too. That's how, so I don't see how it's going to be more durable. I mean, than a spoked design. It's got this cover which limits airflow and it keeps dirt out of the top of the motor, but that's never a problem. I mean, I'm confused by this motor. Heiko, the pilot who helped develop it. What is the point? What were you going for? I have no idea. But hey, it was cool and weird. And it is purple. I do like purple. Well, from a motor that looks weird and I don't understand at all to a pretty darn good looking motor, this is the T-Motor Blackbird. And these motors were developed by pilot Damien Gann's Blackbird FPV to suit his specific style of freestyle. He actually messaged me about it way back when he first started developing them. Let's take a look. And the problem that he's trying to solve is, especially like if you have a 2207 or 2208, a tall stator motor, you'll have sort of a throttle curve where at low throttle you don't get a lot of resolution and then sort of a big explosion of power at the high end. So what he tried to do with these motors is use N48 magnets, much weaker than the N52s that are commonly used in today's high-performance motors, and have more windings to make up the difference in magnetic field strength as well as a different air gap. So sort of give a feeling like that explosive torque that's used in Juicy style, but without losing the low-end control. TBS has released a new version of their Crossfire Micro. This is not really a new product, it's just a refresh of an existing product, but there are a couple exciting things in here. One of them is that it has switched from USB Micro to USB-C, which I know a lot of people are going to be excited about. The antenna has been changed slightly to comply with US regulations and make it FCC certified. It doesn't really change anything. The FCC requires that the antenna not be removable by the user, so they put a shroud over it to make it not removable, but you can totally just remove the shroud and remove the antenna. Nothing has changed. But it is FCC certified, so that's good. And most importantly, they have updated the PCB design. It's now one board instead of two. Who cares about that? But it also has a more powerful radio amplifier. And what this means, the radio amplifier is capable of going up to 500 milliwatts. And I checked with TBS and asked them for a confirmation that that was their intent. And they said it is capable of 500 milliwatts. They want to make sure that there aren't going to be any problems. So they're still doing some internal testing. Like, for example, if you crank it up to 500 milliwatts and then like 3 months later it starts dying from heating up too much, they don't want to put you in that situation. So the V2, it seems like they're going to unlock 500 milliwatts in a firmware update in the future is their goal. So that's pretty exciting. Currently, it only goes up to 250 milliwatts. BrotherHobby's released a limited edition 7th anniversary version of their 2207.5 motor. What is this the 7th anniversary of? It's of BrotherHobby, I guess, because we didn't have 2207.5 motors 7 years ago. Anyway, moving on. This is a 2207.5 motor. It's available in 1920 or 1750 kV, so if you don't fly 6S, screw you. And it's a pretty good looking motor. BrotherHobby makes a good motor, and for 19 bucks, it's kind of hard to argue with. Anything special about it? N52H magnets, that's pretty standard. It's a single core winding, looks like. NMB bearings, those aren't bad bearings. I don't know if they're as good as like NSK. Yeah, so, 19 bucks for a BrotherHobby limited edition. It's kind of silly to do a limited anniversary edition of a motor because you're just going to destroy it in a few months anyway, but there you go. More motor stuff. XNova motors have showed up at Race Day Quads and at GetFPV, except they're all out of stock at GetFPV. Okay, fine. I don't know why this is showing up in new products. XNova has been around for a while. They're I don't know if they're like a well-known manufacturer, but people who do know them really love them. They stand out to me. I believe they are the manufacturer of Evan Turner Heads Up FPV's pilot branded motor. When people heard that XNova was manufacturing his motor, I saw a comment, people like, oh, yes, good choice, Evan. They make a great motor. I will say, if we look at, let's look at this. This is a pretty baseline motor, 2207, 2500 kV. Let's take a look and see how it stands out. Lots of different kV. Geez, you have your choice of kV. That's amazing. Like, you really can dial it in. That's pretty cool. Racing performance. Mortise and tenon structure. Well, that's usually a woodworking joint. Low cogging torque and smooth running. Doesn't have any sort of specs, though, about, what kind of magnets and so forth. Interesting. Or bearing. Or even, the weight. How much does it weigh? It's a light motor, 30 grams. That's fairly light for a 2207. Are we really doing the sub 250 gram 5-inch thing? Is that what we're doing? I guess we're doing the 5-inch sub 250 gram thing. Really, thank you, FAA, for... I'm sure these quads fly awesome because when you make a quad lighter, it usually flies better. And it's pretty cool that, anyone could even make a 5-inch under 250 grams. That's kind of amazing all on its own, but I just feel like the durability of a 3-inch toothpick is it's not as good. It's a little bit. Now you're going to make a 5-inch with those spindly arms and tiny 2203 pancake motors, and we're going to put a freaking 5-inch prop on a little piddly motor. It's going to break. So cool. I probably should get one of these and review it. It's probably awesome. But I'm also kind of annoyed that it exists. Because it only exists because the FAA and other countries made this stupid 250 gram limit. I guess let's be positive. It's really amazing. The feat of engineering to make a sub 250 gram 5-inch. It's extraordinary. And I bet they fly awesome. I should probably get one and review it. I'm so bad at pretending to be positive when I'm really just annoyed. Flywoo continues their quest to answer the question, who can make the spikiest, most blingedest quadcopters available? Flywoo, I think you win this one. All of their frames have super, like, spiky, blingy gold, silver. I mean, it's a look. It's a look. You got it. I've actually heard some good reports about the Flywoo Goku flight controller. I don't know. Flywoo just kind of came out of nowhere. I guess everybody comes out of somewhere a little while back. And they seem serious about being in the FPV market because they keep making more products. This one is a ready-to-fly 5-inch DJI HD with a full air unit ready to fly. Cool thing that they've done is, I'm going to go over here because the picture zooms in. Cool thing they've done is they've got these little fins on the 3D printed holder for the air unit to try and like direct air into it. I don't know. That's cute, but I'm like, is it go through? Like, what? The air is already going past the air unit. So like, I don't know if, who knows? Maybe it cools the air unit down. Fine. That's clever. Hey, I like to see people trying to innovate. So kudos, I guess. The big question that I always ask about these DJI bind and flies is how much do they weigh? And this one's coming in at 330 grams without the battery. Looks like it's pretty small. 330 plus, let's say, 180 for the battery. 510 grams. That is really respectable. I mean, you could even, let's say you put a GoPro on there for like 140 grams. That's 650 grams all up with a GoPro Hero 7. That is actually pretty respectable. Remains to be seen how the durability is going to be. Are they using boomerang arms or are they using individual arms? I think they're using individual arms. I might like to see this with boomerang arms. Credit to Bob Ruge, who was the first one I know of personally to have that idea. Kebab FPV. Anyway, there you go. $368 with the air unit in it. Oh, and you can even order it with insurance if you buy it from Race-Day Quads. Oh, whoever's selling this insurance is going to lose their shirt. Don't buy the 2-year insurance, kids. It's not going to last that long. You're going to crash it. But $36. Okay, I got to give the edge to Race-Day Quads on this one because they're selling it with this insurance. Oh. Well, let's do some flight controllers. Here's a new flight controller from Foxeer, the Foxeer F722. Let's just see what it brings to the table. Price of $30. That's a pretty good price for an F7. I mean, that's really reasonable for an F7. Hello? Can I have a full screen image, please? Thank you. Let's take a look at the pinout and the capabilities. It's got an input for both telemetry and current from the ESC. That is necessary because many ESCs today are not putting current data in telemetry. So you want current. And then I almost could do without telemetry, but okay. Takes VCC input, no 5-volt or anything input, so it's got its own built-in voltage regulator. How many UARTs has it got? 1, TX2, RX2, TX3, RX3, that's 2 UARTs, TX1, RX5, TX5, that's 3 full UARTs. We got TX1, but no, RC, that must be RX1. RC input must be RX1. So we got 4 full UARTs, that's pretty good. SDA SCL pad for compass. If you're going to do compass, I really would want an iNav target for that. What's the target for this? Is this like an omnibus target? That would be hilarious. Probably not. No, I don't know. Yeah, for Foxeer, okay. So I doubt there's an iNav target, although I don't know for sure. So full regular bootloader button sticking out the side. That's kind of nice. Yeah, pretty standard. Doesn't blow my mind. Oh, it's got a wow, it's got a barometer. That little thing there is a barometer. Maybe it does have an iNav target. That's pretty slick. Yeah. So it's a flight controller. Seems pretty capable. Maybe the soldering would be a little challenging for some beginners because of the pad size. Might could do with bigger pads. Doesn't seem to have a regulator. Does it have like a 9-volt regulator? Yes, it does. 5-volt, 9-volt. Okay. Not bad. Not bad. A little tight, I think. Ground camera control. That ticks all the boxes, though. That's $30 for an F7. Not bad. This here is the Heli-Nation Tiny Talon F7 Micro Stack, and it stands out because it is the first, and as far as I know only, the first and only 16 millimeter F7 stack, and you can see why no one... Can I just see the full... Stop breaking my internet browser functionality. Oh, no, you can't see the image. No, sir, we wouldn't want that. Give me a break. Oh, F you. Oh, that trick's not going to work. No, you can't do it right. Oh, F you. Open image in new tab. Nah, we wouldn't want you to get a closer look at our product. Oh, here's a closer look. It's useless because when you hover, oh yeah, you want a closer look? How about if I just can see the whole image at once? Bigger. Oh yeah, that's good. That's working. Zoom in. Yeah. Thanks, web developers. Just give me a freaking... Haha, screw you. So you can see why no one's done this before, because the freaking F7 chip alone is practically the whole size of the board. Like, how do they even fit all the components on here? Well, they managed to do it. So if you need a 16 millimeter flight controller, and does it come with an ESC? Yeah, it's got a BL Heli 32. It's a BL Heli 32 ESC. Are you kidding me? 15 amp continuous. That's... Here you go. You're building a 16 millimeter quad and you want a F7. There you go. This is your choice. Way to go, Heli-Nation. You did it. You win. You win. You were the first. First one I've heard of, anyway. I can't believe it. Wait, are these the... No, that's the ESC. Okay. I was about to think these weren't the same product. Look at this. Look at this. The freaking... Where are the FETs? Where are the FETs on the ESC? These are the MCUs. Where are the freaking FETs? Oh my god. This is so hilarious. Where's the ESC? They put the FETs right at the edge. Oh, that makes sense. And then here are the other two MCUs. They could barely fit this stuff in here. I can't believe they did this. Yet I'm really impressed. Now let's look at a new entry in the budget flight controller and ESC category. This one is a 20 millimeter flight controller from Fullspeed, the Fullspeed FSD F411. And it stands out because it's $20 for the flight controller, $25 for the ESC. When I first saw this, I thought this was a 30 millimeter, and I was like, wow, that's a really amazing, suspiciously good price. In a 20 millimeter, 28 amp, not bad. Is that a burst or continuous? 28 amp. Constant current, 28 amp, not bad for a 20 millimeter ESC. Not sure I would put this on like a high current racing rig, especially because it's only a 4S rated ESC. But the big question that I think we got to ask, especially about the ESC, because let's face it, all ESCs basically do the same thing. They spin the motors. All BL Heli and BL Heli 32 ESCs, they kind of function mostly the same. And the big question is just how much are you going to pay for it? What's the amp rating? What's the voltage rating? And what are the chances that it's going to explode on you when you actually use it? And I don't know what the answer is for this one, but given the price point and given the manufacturer's Fullspeed, which is like they're not bad, but they're not like a T-Motor when it comes to quality, you know, I think you're taking a little bit of a punt at this to get in at the price, but there you go. Now let's compare that to this guy. This is the Diatone Mamba F722 Mini. It's a 20 millimeter stack, flight controller and ESC. Now this one is made for use with the DJI system, so it's going to plug directly into your Air unit or your Caddx Vista. Now being an F7 processor, you already know that the UARTs are going to be a lot simpler. You're not going to have like problems with inversion with SBus and so forth. You're just going to have TX and RX and you're good to go. Unfortunately, it is not labeled on the top. I guess they struggled to find a place to put the labels, so they were like, screw it, we're just going to put the pads there. I guess I would like to have labels, but if given the choice between more functionality and labels, I guess I'll take the functionality. I would just like to see this freaking image. Can I see? Oh, that's not useful at all. That's not useful at all. Oh my God. All right, let's just see what they got. 5-volt ground camera, TX3 VTX, so there's no TX-RX for UART3. We just have TX3 for smart audio. Even though we have an F7, we're still being limited by the available pads. Okay, that's a little better, I guess. We've got RC input and then inverter TX1, but that's weird because this is an F7. Is it an F7? Yes. This is an F7, so I don't know why we have an inverter pad since an F7 can handle inversion. That's a little confusing. Like, why do we have an RC input when we could just have RX1? And then there's TX1. So we got RX1 and TX1. That's nice. We could do Crossfire because it needs both TX and RX. We got RX4 and TX4. That's good. So that's 2 full UARTs. Oh, RX2 and TX2 are in this plug. That's going to be for the DJI Air unit. So it's going to be the MSP connection. So that just plugs in. Normally, I'd be a little bit annoyed that we had a plug. We had to use a plug to get at the UARTs. But since we're using an Air unit, it's safe to assume that it's just going to plug right in. It's not going to be an issue. RX6 for the ESC. ESC telemetry. We've got solder pads here for the ESC as well as a plug. Very nice. And we got 1 extra UART on these tiny little pads. If you just have used all your UARTs, then you could do Crossfire here, GPS here. Yeah. And you got 1 more if you want to solder to these tiny little pads. That's pretty capable. And on top of that, we've got a 35 amp ESC instead of the 28 amp rated ESC of the Fullspeed, and it comes in at $65. Now, if you compare that to a Fullspeed, the Fullspeed came in, I think, at around $45, which is, it's like 30% cheaper or $20 cheaper, depending on how you want to think of it. But I would personally spend that extra $20 every day of the week because Diatone makes just a better quality electronic than Fullspeed. That's not intended as a dig against Fullspeed. It's just one builds to one price point and one builds to another price point. On top of that, the Diatone's going to have way more capability. Okay, I'm comparing a DJI focused flight controller with an analog one, so they're not exactly the same. But yeah, this Diatone's doing a really good job of coming in at a low price point, but not so low that they have to compromise quality. Good job, Diatone. Now here is where it gets interesting though, because like this Diatone F50 Pro 50 amp 6S ESC, $45, that's right in line with where I think Diatone usually fits. Middling price, good quality, good performance. Nice job, Diatone. But when you start getting up into this price range, $65 for an F60 Pro, now you're starting to nibble at the heels of like a T-Motor. And I just think that T-Motor probably, I mean, that's one of the most durable ESCs on the market. I just am not sure there's quite as much of a case for this one. This one, on the other hand, the F50 50 amp ESC, is it up to 6S? Let's just confirm. Yes, 6S, you would expect that. 50 amp continuous, $40. Very, very nice. And it's got this cool little cover on it. Okay, fine. Just a heat sink or something. And for those of you who are wondering, well, do I need a 50 or a 60 amp ESC? You probably don't even need like a 35 amp ESC. Think about it. You got 4 motors, probably, and you're pulling, let's say, 30 amps per motor. That's 120 amps. Most batteries are going to give up when you pull 120 amps within a few seconds. They might hold 120 amps for 3, 4, 5 seconds. Maybe if it's a really good battery, 6 or 7 seconds. By the time you actually pull 50 amps, 60 amps long enough to damage the ESC, the battery will already have given up. So the difference between then why does anybody make a 50 amp ESC? Why don't they just sell 35 amp ESCs? Some of that is marketing. You see a 35 amp ESC, you see a 50 amp ESC, you think the 50 amp one is better. Some of that is headroom, right? A 50 amp ESC or a 60 amp ESC is going to be a little bit less likely to pop or damage itself under abusive conditions. So it's not that there's no purpose to it, but if you're trying to decide between a 50 or 60 amp ESC, probably the amp rating is not actually what makes the difference for you. This is the Xilo Blue Hornet Freestyle Quadcopter frame. And the idea behind this frame, let's see if we can find a side-on shot. The idea behind this frame is that when the quadcopter pitches forward, the battery, the camera, everything will be sort of flat, and you won't have this big frontal area like you do with normal quadcopter frames. There'll be less drag. I have no idea how much that really matters. I like that they're trying something different. I'm intrigued. I probably am not going to go out of my way to build one just to find out how amazing it is. But if other people start telling me it's amazing, then I will take notice. When I look at a frame like this, just there's so many screws. So many screws. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Just so many screws. I feel tired just looking at it. But I'm curious if you've tried this, what you think of it. Is it does it have less wind resistance? Does it fly way better? Let me know. Well, since 5-inch sub 250 gram toothpicks are apparently going to be a thing, the question that we got to ask is, what flight controller are you going to put on it? And BetaFPV has come out with a new line of all-in-one, truly all-in-one flight controllers with built-in ESCs specifically for toothpick builds. And I've got a couple of them pulled up here on screen at various vendors, but this image really sums up what you need to know. They've got a 35 amp version, a 20 amp version, and a 12 amp version, and they come in at different price points, and they're tailored for different size motors. Don't go thinking that you're going to stick one of these on a normal heavy 5-inch freestyle quad or racing quad. They are specifically tailored towards ultralight toothpicks, and even if your heavier quad is under 35 amps, the ESC may not like it due to voltage spikes and so forth. But if you're trying to build a toothpick, there are almost no other companies making true combination FC and ESC. Now, what I always say when it comes to ESCs is durability is one of the biggest things you got to think about, and that is especially true for these all-in-ones. You cram this much electronics on a single PCB, and then you shove 35 amps through it, and keeping things from frying is pretty difficult. And that's why I've also included this guy here. This is the CLRacing F7 from Chenling CLRacing. And it is another 20mm all-in-one toothpick. It's only rated for 20 amps. So if you need 35 amps or whatever, then this is not for you. But I feel like the overall track record of CLRacing is a little higher. I don't know. They did have that problem with the 9-volt regulator a while back. But, yeah. If you feel like taking a chance on CLRacing instead of BetaFPV, that one exists as well. Now, this is a weird one because normally when I show a new product, I search a bunch of vendors to see who else has the product, and I put a couple of them up on screen. But Race Day Quads is the only one I can find that has the iFlight Sigma. In fact, hang on, let's just search. I mean, obviously it's at iFlight's website. Pyrodrone has it. Amazon has it. Go figure. And Race Day Quads has it. Okay, so this is the iFlight Sigma. It's a new antenna from iFlight. It comes in MMCX, UFL, and right angle MMCX version, and I don't know, it looks like it's probably quote unquote inspired by the Axii's design, and it's got 3 dB of gain and a 0.7 axial ratio. That's actually not spectacular. You want axial ratio to be close to 1.0. So to just admit that it's 0.7 is not inspiring. 3 dB of gain is, I'd like my Omni antennas to be as low gain as possible so they have a circular signal. 3 dB is not the worst. the lowest it tends to get is 3 dBi. So with the lowest you would get is about 2 dBi. So this is not quite perfectly circular, but not bad. The axial ratio doesn't really inspire me. Whereas you've got the, then again, I mean, it's $8. You got a Luminaire Axii, and it's, there we go, Xilo Axii. This is the, what's the difference between a Xilo Axii and a Luminaire Axii? I don't know, $10. Haha! Compare that to the Xilo Axii, where you get axial ratio of 1.0 and it's nearly the same price. So yeah, I would probably just take the Xilo Axii over the iFlight, just because I know it's manufactured by BetaFPV. I know it's made by, designed by TrueRC. It's probably going to give you more consistent performance and better performance than the iFlight. The iFlight does come in cute colors though. Well, this is not really a new product, but it did show up in BetaFPV's new products category, which probably means they just started carrying it. And some of you guys love this. Drew Camden, Ladrib, actually sent me one of these, not this exact one, but sent me an electric screwdriver as a gift a little while back. And I used it for a while, and it just, any screwdriver where I have to change the bits, I just want to be able to reach out, grab a 2mm driver, and use it. Any screwdriver where I have to change the bits, I don't like, and it just feels like it really slows my work. I'm losing the bits. I don't like it. But some of you guys absolutely adore these, and so here they are. Electric screwdriver, the Wowstick 36-in-1 dual power. This is a lithium ion with 36-in-1. This is a 64-in-1, and it's a different one, and I don't know. The other thing that I always wonder about these is, do they have enough torque to really work? I mean, they're made for like taking it. Oh, you could use it on your bicycle. Can you? Can you? This one maybe has more torque. This one I think is the little one with less torque. More for like taking apart computers and stuff than like taking out the M3 screws on your quadcopter standoffs. But okay, here it is, the Wowstick. If you want to try out a electric screwdriver, a lot of people love these things. It's just not fit with my workflow very much. A little while back, I introduced you to the GEPRC Dolphin. Now there is a Dolphin HD. And in case you need a refresher, the Dolphin is a 4-inch bind and fly. The Dolphin HD comes with Caddx Vista. I don't know how I feel about this. I mean, 4 inches, okay, so the whole point of a quad like this, I suppose, would be to get you under 250 grams, right? But this guy comes in at 160 grams, which means you have a 90-gram budget for your battery to stay under 250 grams. And I think that's asking a lot. I don't think most people flying this are going to use a 90-gram battery. That's just my gut feeling. The motors, 1507 motors, that is an okay choice for a 4-inch prop. In my opinion, that's about the smallest that you want to get, is like a 15XX. I have flown a quad with 1407 motors on 4-inch 3-blade props, and I felt like it was over propped. The big thing about these guys to me is like this tall stack where you get the camera up on top here. And this is a design that kind of came and went, and I'm not sure that it wouldn't be better off staying went, because when your camera takes a hit up here, then a lot of times this whole thing just gets out of whack. I'm sure it probably flies pretty good, and if you're into racing and you want to carry Vista, this is probably a decent choice. But seeing as it doesn't come in under 250 grams, well, I think you might be able to do better going to a bigger and heavier quad that's going to be a little bit more durable and maybe even fly better. Probably flies okay. The Mobula6 was one of my favorite 65mm tiny whoops. It flew amazing on the 19,000 and the 25,000 kV motors. A really, really great little racing tiny whoop. Really pushed the bounds of what a 65mm whoop could do. And now it's available in high def with a Runcam Split 3 Lite. This is always so tough because these things are so sensitive to the additional weight, and you definitely get some worse flight characteristics when you add this weight. Weight of this guy is 27 grams. The original Mobula6 came in closer to, I think, 22 grams. And that's 6 grams, 5 grams, 2 minus 7, 5 grams. May not sound like much, but it's 25% the weight of the whole quad. Okay, not if you add the battery. Anyway, the only way to really know if this was any good is going to be to fly it. And I actually think I have one. I think one came in the mail, and I was like, why did this come in the mail? I assumed someone wanted me to review it, but then I got busy. Maybe I should try it out. The last thing I want to show you in this roundup before we get to the giveaway details is this BetaFPV Beta 85X for Naked GoPro. This is a modification of the Beta 85X specifically made to carry a naked GoPro. This is a thing that people have been doing for a while, and BetaFPV just finally sort of made it official by releasing a kit. In fact, you can actually buy a quad from BetaFPV with the naked GoPro already included. You don't have to source your own GoPro and take it apart if that's what you prefer to do. But this is a way of getting GoPro quality image out of a 2-inch quadcopter in a way that just has never been possible before. In fact, BetaFPV is so excited about this, they are actually having a Cinewhoop video contest where you use the BetaFPV and a naked GoPro, and there's a freaking $500 cash prize for first place and a $200 gift voucher at BetaFPV, judged by Mr. Steele, Finky, and Tommy Tibahia. And you still have time to enter. The first round of entries closes on July 20th, so you still have about 10 days to enter as of the release of this video. Pay attention to the rules. You can't just use any drone or any GoPro. You have to, so just make sure you read the rules and follow the rules before you enter, or you won't be eligible. Well, that brings us to the end of the video and the giveaway. And what product could I choose other than my own RTF kit from GetFPV? I'm going to give away, I always think about how much it costs, $250 the kit does. So let's give away 3 of them. It's going to hurt, but whatever. We'll give away 3 of these kits. If you want to know how to enter, go down to the video description, read the video. I know there's a lot of stuff in the video description. It's down at the bottom, the terms and conditions for entering. There's a link you need to click and a place. The link will take you to a spreadsheet or a form, and you enter your email in the form and your name, and that is how you enter. There is no other way to enter. The full terms and conditions are down below. I will give away 3 of those kits to 3 winners. You do not have to subscribe. It would be nice if you subscribed, but you're not required to. That's not how I roll. You don't have to be in the US. You could be anywhere in the world that we can ship to, and we'll do our best to get it to you. There you go. Thank you so much for coming along on this new product roundup. Oh, one more thing. One more thing. I've got an email address I've set up. There's an email address. Put it on screen. If you see new products coming out that you think I should include in one of these roundups, or maybe that you'd like to be considered for a giveaway, email me at this special email address and I will take it into consideration. Thanks for watching. Happy flying. What are you still doing here? The video's over. Do you watch all the videos all the way to the end? Wow. You are a super fan. Thank you. That actually helps the channel a lot when you watch the videos all the way to the end. YouTube loves that. You know what else YouTube loves? When you subscribe. Or when you join my Patreon for as little as $2 a month, or more if you feel like I've earned. Actually, YouTube doesn't like you to join my Patreon. They don't get a cut of that.